Welcome, everyone, to the Success Elevated podcast. As always, I'm your host, Hayden Lee, and I'm joined here by a very special guest. We've been trying to coordinate times the last couple of days. Finally got him on.
Finally got it.
Chris Resnoski. Resnoski?
Rzesnoski, nailed it.
Okay, perfect. With Vice President of Encircle.
Yeah.
Chris, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey, awesome. I really appreciate being here. Thanks for having me on.
This is going to be a great conversation. Katie, when we were coming here to the event, Katie kind of started making out a list of like people we got to get on the podcast, and your name was on that list. So super excited to have the chance to chat with you for a little bit. Really what I wanted to kind of do, and this is what we've done for all of the guests, is we've kind of talked to a bunch of different people here. We start by talking about how you got into restoration. So I'd love to talk your career background, what kind of led you to where you are today, and kind of all the steps that you had along the way to get you here.
Yeah, so. I got fortunate. When I came in, I didn't know I wanted to be in restoration. I didn't even know. I was a sheriff.
Very cool.
I was asked to be, a buddy of mine said, hey, do you want to go do fraud investigation? You make more money, you get better hours. And I ended up in some insurance company's underwriting department, which had nothing to do with it. and then I went and been an adjuster, and I worked with some great people there. And then my manager said, hey, if you want to make real money, go to the contractor side. I think it was like a month later I was gone.
Wow.
And I didn't look back. I loved it. And I got to run some big companies. I got to work with some really amazing people. And then I took that technical journey, and I got into the technicals, and I had some great instructors.
Yeah.
And then I had the best advice I ever got from Kerry Vermillion, who's the chairman of the IICRC, but he was my instructor back in the day.
Yeah.
And he still trains classes, but he said, hey, if you really want to take like a career path that's pretty unique, go see the top trainers. So I've never really had more than one trainer per course, and then I've gone and saw it's amazing. I got Chuck Boutal, I got
that's so cool.
Kurt Bolden before he passed away.
Yeah.
Some of the amazing instructors along the way, Ken Larson, Norris Gearhart, like just amazing knowledge.
Yeah.
And so took that path, and then I started my own consulting company teaching profitability and estimating. And then I had the chance to jump in with Encircle and help a ton of restorers make their businesses better through digital. And that was a unique path. Like I just was like, maybe it's something I want to do, maybe it's not. And 8.5 years later, yeah.
You're still here. Oh, that's so great. I'd love to kind of hear from your perspective because one of the big things we talked about before we started recording was kind of this digital versus paper kind of conversation. Before we get into there, I'm interested to hear your perspective because you've been on both sides, like the insurance versus the contractor world. I feel like, and CORE is different. We're here at CORE, and we've talked about that on some of the podcasts. They tried to bring together like the carriers and the contractors here, which has been awesome. But a lot of times it feels like the contractors at odds with the carriers in a lot of cases. Do you feel like having that carrier or insurance knowledge helped you be a better like restorer or contractor? Did you feel like that knowledge was helpful?
It was different then.
Okay.
So back then it was different. Like the systems for accountability and reviewing estimates, there was more of let's go to the job together, let's come up with a scope, you send me a price.
Yeah.
Let's talk about like that.
Yeah.
We've lost that. And so and now it's all done at the end after work's done and everyone's upset and right?
It cost this much for us. Yeah.
I already spent the money.
Yeah.
If you wanted me to not spend the money, you should have told me before, and then we'd have that. So that's changed. I think it's kind of we're maybe coming back. Not digital, just the environment now.
Right.
Is there's so much cost, there's so many consultants, there's so many administrative overlays now on top of what used to be just an adjuster that I think the insurance companies are starting to see, hey, we have an administrative bloat problem, and we're not getting the quality we used to get. And so I think that's the big change. That seems like we might be at a pivot point here where we've hit the pendulum of too much admin, and we come back and it'll be maybe back to more of a relationship. It's slower.
Yeah.
But
it's a slower change.
Maybe slower. Well, just it slows down the process a little bit. But maybe it actually speeds up now that there's so much administrative bloat on both sides. Like restorers have so many more administrators to try to get the paperwork done. That's only a cost that the insurance carriers are paying, whether they think they're paying for it or not. It's still there. But I wasn't an adjuster long enough. I wouldn't want to give the adjuster a bad name. I was there long enough to learn a little bit to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Not enough to become really good at it. But it was a good. Really good experience coming in from that side.
Yeah.
Because those guys are they've got a tough job. And you know what? When you sit down with adjusters, if you get them away from the file, they're good people trying to help people.
Totally.
You go, well, where's the disconnect? Because you have these good people trying to help people. You have good people on the restorer side trying to help people. it's a communication problem. And I think people are just, someone said, hey, contractors are frauding you. Other people are saying, hey, adjusters are trying to take your money away from you. And somewhere in the middle, there's a distrust that is when you're separated with more administrators in between.
Yep.
You can't have a real conversation to understand where people are coming from.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get back to that, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, to your point, it is very much like a relationship thing, and I think you've got to find a way to get those adjusters away from the file. I like how you described that. Like, get them away from the file a little bit and like talk about what the core piece of it is, which is, hey, we're trying to help people here.
Yep.
You don't want these people to have a burnt, their home burned down or their house flooded or whatever. So like, let's find some common ground here. And I think that's, hopefully that would solve a lot of the headache. And yeah, it's not all the time, but it definitely feels like there are times where restorers are at odds with adjusters, and I think you can fix that with just some better relationship.
It's remote, right? It's the remoteness.
Yeah.
Like if you and I are behind screens, or we're on phones, we don't even see each other on a screen. We're behind phones,
right?
Or email, and someone's having a bad day, and they send you a snarky email, but it's not you. It's the file that they just dealt with the guy trying to get $30,000 off the company that they shouldn't have.
Right.
You're the next in the firing line.
Yeah.
And because I can't have this is a good person conversation.
Yeah.
You get a snarky email, and then that sets that right relationship off. Their day is hard. Like they constantly have people putting their hands in the cookie jar, trying to take cash out, and you're one of them. And that's the other thing, right? You have adjusters who their job is to manage the finances of the insurance company on every individual claim.
Yeah.
You are an expense to that claim.
Yeah.
So you're one of the things that they're going to manage, and you have to not take it personally, but they're managing their cost.
Yeah.
No different than you would manage your sub-trade.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The problem is if we don't, like with a sub-trade, you're like, what's your price? I agree to that price, go. We don't always have those conversations.
Right.
So then it becomes, well, I didn't know it was 10 grand. It's like, you do this every day. Of course you should have thought 10 grand. They don't have necessarily the knowledge to figure that out in advance. You do.
Yeah.
You assume they do because they see it. They were thinking 5, you came in at 10, and now there's a conflict.
Yeah. Love that. That's a great way to describe it. And I think your point is the communication. At the end of the day, it's all communication. Like, how do you find a way to talk about your issues, the issue on one side versus the issue on another? How do you come together a little bit better? And all of that is solved with just communicating about the issues.
100%.
I think this leads perfectly into the conversation about Encircle, and we wanted to talk like digital versus paper a little bit, and a lot of that I think relates to what you guys are doing in Encircle. Talk to us a little bit about what is Encircle, what is your main goal or mission there, and how that maybe starts the conversation of digital versus paper.
Yeah, we're a field documentation system, so basically everything out in the field.
Yeah,
we're there with the technician where you make and lose your money.
Yeah,
so it's documenting the cause of loss, document the source of loss, what's affected, what's not affected, the unaffected room, what's the pre-existing damage, so you're not paying for somebody else's paint, and they said, hey, you scratched my wall when that scratch was there 10 years, right? And then we come in and we do the contents, we do water damage with hydro, and then we create these really, really full reports that get over to the insurance carrier adjuster. So we've created that field documentation system, but we also created the category because up until then it was file management, included everything, but we just focus on the field and really crush it out there. So that's what we do.
I mean, it relates perfectly because at the end of the day, you're trying to solve a lot of that communication issue. So if you document a lot of that stuff, hopefully, in theory, it should make things a lot easier when you go to an insurance adjuster and an agent and like, hey, this is what's going on with this claim. Yeah,
we get a lot of times the adjuster's like, I know who you guys are. I see your reports from every restorer. That I'm like, okay, but that's fine. But what is interesting is the younger restorers are starting to pick up that need for documenting, and so there's not as much resistance in the new generation of restorer coming in. Now they've got a bigger learning curve, but they also have some tools that give them some advantages. So it's one of those evolutions that maybe just have a few more gray hairs you start seeing, and you're like, hey, when I was a younger restorer, that wasn't available. And now for these young guys, they're coming in and they're killing it. They just need to get their technical game up, but they're killing it in the field, and they're embracing technology and trying stuff. Yeah. That's crazy. And there's tools for them to use, which is nice.
And I think, again, going back to all of this, what we're kind of trying to get at, but it's because this digital side is, I don't want to say it's easier. Maybe it's easier for the younger generation, but it just feels easier across the board. Like you have a tool that is the sole purpose of that tool is to make documentation and everything a lot more streamlined. So you don't have to do it through paper and reports and charts and you're filling out spreadsheets. I mean, it's so funny. I mean, we were talking to Violand the other day, and there's people from Violand that are bringing on new coaching clients that there's still people that are tracking their books with paper. And it's fascinating to me that in today's day and age, you still have people doing that, which is so wild.
It's a transition, right? So you got we've been in this space for about 9 years, and that's one generation of restore.
Right.
Now you get the new guys coming in, so they're 20 to 30 coming in, dropping in. The guys and girls are like, okay, I'm going to learn it. Well, you're learning it now with digital, so now you're embracing other digital technology, and it changes the mindset. Whereas if you got someone who's been in the business 30 years and they did what they did, they're going to ride that out, and it's hard for them to change. They have to, and we get older owners that are like making the commitment, and they're some of the most gung-ho people because they're like, I hated the way we ran a business. This is now easy.
Yeah.
So, but I think when you look at the new restorers, that digital push is more natural to them because they haven't experienced paper. So now the digital push feels a lot more comfortable than people that had their systems they built 20 years ago.
The Success Elevated podcast is brought to you by SOS Navigator. SOS Navigator is an on-demand training platform geared towards marketing, personal development, and business growth. We understand that as a business owner in the service industry, you wear a million hats. Let SOS Navigator be a simple and cost-effective way for you to continue to grow your business. Click the link in the show notes below and use code SOS Podcast to get 10% off your next on-demand training course.
It's probably a silly question or a stupid question, but it feels like a lot of that push is probably coming from the younger generation just because they're familiar with these apps and tools. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more familiar with phone technology than my parents because my parents didn't grow up. My parents didn't get a smartphone until they were 30. You know what I mean? So, like, it's just different for them. And so I think probably a lot of that is just to do with just that younger generation. It's like, hey, we need these tools. We need this digitally. But why don't we document this with our phones instead of with a piece of paper and writing stuff down? I would assume that's what a lot of it is, right?
You get that side.
Yeah.
But some of the best embracers of technology are actually the old dogs.
Yeah.
And so the owner's like, you know what? I hate my business right now because it's all paper and it feels wrong.
Yeah. It takes too much time or whatever.
I don't know where anything is.
Yeah.
And then they see, we get them in and they're like, oh my God, wait. It's almost like I can be on the job without having to drive out to the job. I can now see my jobs without worrying about them at night.
Yeah.
Yes, I want it. And so these older owners, they're in the last 5 years or last 10 years of the business. They are actually the ones bringing in because then they can step away from the business.
I love that.
And watch what's happening. And you always hear the guys say, I wish I could go back to me in a truck, but that's not what they're saying. We all said it.
Yeah.
It's what you're saying is I want to be able to go back to seeing every job.
Yeah.
Well, digitally, you can without having to get in your truck. No windshield time, but you can do it. You can do it from the beach. You can do it from the vacation property.
Right.
You're back in your business without having to do all the windshield time. And so that helps. That helps. And there's other technologies like you take the entire technology suite, give it to an owner, and they're like, I can be on site like as if I was there.
Yeah,
and that's crazy. That's a change.
Well, and it's I hesitate to say this because I don't want to. This is not bad. This is a good thing.
Yeah.
But people that have owned companies for 25 years, it's a way for them to retire, and I'm using air quotes for those of you who can't see, retire without retiring, right? Like you can be like, hey, I don't have to spend as much time at the job, but still get just as much done because I have these tools and because I can do it digitally. Like you said, I can be on every job without having to be on every job.
Yep.
I can see what's going on. I can see the documentation. I can maybe help diagnose problems without necessarily having to get in a truck, drive over there, go through it, do an inspection. Like you can do it all digitally and be like, oh yeah, I saw that photo and that's what you've got going on there. So here's what you need to do. Like it seems like a great way. Retire's not the right word, but it's a great way for them to. It frees up a lot more of your day because you don't have to have that windshield time, like you're saying.
Well, it's a slowdown. You're not retiring.
Right. Slow down's probably a better way to phrase it. Yeah.
But you're also able to transition your business to that next generation, so you can hand the keys over.
Yeah, much easier.
But sitting in the passenger seat, watching what's happening, and there's a peace of mind that you get from being able to do that, right?
Yeah.
You can take that vacation and then step a little bit further away, and maybe you can step away for 3 days of the week and not technically step away.
Yeah. Well, and it makes your business more efficient in a lot of ways, which in theory, should make you more profitable.
Yep.
Which I know everybody loves, especially maybe as you're trying to have a slowdown, or maybe you're getting ready to sell at some point in the next five years or so. Like, hey, your P&L is going to look way better because you're way more efficient on your time. You don't have to send 10 guys out to a job. You can send 1 or 2, and then just have it all documented really, really well, which is awesome.
Yeah,
so.
you change that costly response for the bucket of water.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, well, how do I charge $500 for this no claim?
Yep.
No job, right? You get an insurance claim that calls in and says, hey, I've got this, this person said they got their house flooded, and you show up with the full force, and it's not a flood. It's a bucket of water.
Oh, yeah. It happens to everybody. I mean, we work with digital marketing side, and we help our clients and kind of bring leads in, and we'll listen to a lot of those calls to kind of help with training and stuff, and we're like, man, some of the jobs that people get called in on are like, oh, I spilled a mop bucket. And it's like, you don't need to call a restoration company to take care of that. It's just funny stuff like that. I love this because I think, so much of what you hear, and maybe it's just because I'm at a trade show and I'm talking to a lot of vendors here, but I feel like a lot of our conversations are around, new waves of technology, new things that are coming out, new ways to help restorers be better at their jobs. And I love these conversations because at the end of the day, our focus in a similar way to like restorers are focused on helping their customers and trying to take care of their people. We're in a lot of ways trying to help the restorers and be like, how can I help make a restorer's job or their life easier? Yep. And that's what's so cool about tools like Encircle and others, that it's like, hey, we can make your life easier. Instead of maybe spending all of your time in the business, you can spend more time on the business. Yep. Making it more efficient and being more profitable and all that stuff.
No, and that's really today. I don't know if we were talking about it on the podcast, but the environment with TPAs and the environment with all that administrative bloat. All of a sudden, you now have to be better at running the business. And most of us came in, or you come in, you get some technical training, and you go into the business because you can make a living. Right. But now, if you take a look at it, it's like, no, every part of the business you have to rehone, reshape, and recalibrate. Yeah. And you should be doing it yearly. It's hard to do if you're in the business. Yeah. Right? And it's any business, but restoration is reactive by nature. You got calls coming in, you're going to be busy. When you can separate yourself from those calls, you can really put some damage into your business where you can fix your profit, fix your efficiency, fix your customer service. Hey, we're losing customer service. What are we doing wrong? And go and hone those skills and of your team. So, it's pretty interesting.
We talk about this a lot, too, that, when owners are spending the majority of their times putting out fires, you're not actually helping your business grow. And so if you can get to a point where you can maybe, instead of having to put out the day-to-day fires, you can do more of those things like what you're talking about, your growth can just be exponential. When you don't have to, when you've got a good general manager in place or a good lead technician or whatever that can handle those fires, then you can spend more time, okay, how do we get more efficient, build better systems, get better equipment or tools like Encircle or whatever, right? Like your profitability can just absolutely explode.
100%. That fire prevention, if you look at it that way.
Fire prevention.
Right?
Yeah,
you're
that's the way to
trying to
describe
get less fires and less severe fires.
Yep.
So we're trying to reduce.
You're doing more fire prevention instead of firefighting.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it'll save you time and money and energy, and it wears you out as an owner. Like it sacks you. If you go through too many, or you get a really bad file, and then follow it up with a really bad employee, it'll zap you, and then you don't even want to be in your business anymore. Yeah. Like you need to get that time to get away to completely change how your mindset is over the business. Yeah.
I want to ask you this question. This is a little bit different of a direction, but we've spent some awesome time here talking about this stuff, and it seems like you're pretty passionate about the restoration industry, which is super cool. You've been in it for a while now. Why have you stuck with the restoration industry? Like what makes you passionate about it? What do you like about it? Why are you sticking around restoration? Why didn't you after the first couple of months or year be like, get me out of here?
Out of university, I was a volunteer firefighter. Yeah. And then I went to law enforcement, and it's the same purpose or the same rush that you get going and helping restorers. It's the same mentality. Like if you look at it, fire happens, we're in our trucks and we're responding to the property. Now it's a little different, but not a lot. Yeah. You still deal with the emotions of people. You're still helping them recover. We get to hold their hand through the whole recovery. Yeah. Whereas in those ones, they show up, put the fire out, and they're done.
They leave.
We're there doing the hard work, and we're really delivering on that peace of mind promise that the insurance carrier sells. We're the ones delivering the peace of mind to the person, and I think that's addictive. I think there's that superhero complex in you, and that's a good thing. Like, you can't do this job if you don't have it. And so I found my people, and I love it. Like, I love restorers. Like you come to a conference and you walk around, you find good people everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone gets along. It's a good industry, and there's so many good people that it's hard. Where else would you go? I don't know. As much as you could bitch and complain about, something's happening in the industry. Where else would you go to find people like this? There's very few spots.
Yeah, not maybe. I mean, there's good people everywhere, but not at the same like density. Like, it just seems like there's so many good people in one place. Like, restoration industry, it's large, but it's not huge. There's other industries that are bigger, probably construction or whatever, right? General contracting. But like restoration, just the number of good people within this small industry is incredible. And it feels at times, and I've talked to Katie, the partner at Spot On Solutions, I've talked to her multiple times about this. Like, she knows everybody, and everybody knows everybody. Like, it feels like a family almost. Like, there's connections everywhere. People know each other. They care about each other. Katie was talking to somebody about a recent marriage earlier today. I was like, how do you know that person was getting married? Well, I'm friends with them on social media, whatever. Like, and it's just funny to me that, like, it really is like such a tight-knit group, and it's because you guys are all so passionate about, hey, how do we help people? How do we help people grow? And it's fascinating to me. It's why I've been asking this question a lot of these podcasts, because it's cool, man. It just seems really, really cool that people care this much.
You have a similar. So if you go with construction, you're gonna get people with many different backgrounds and different objectives.
Yep.
We all share that. We respond at the middle of the night. We respond
emergencies.
We'll travel 1,000 miles to go help somebody.
Yeah.
Right. Help a community. Yeah. You're in the community, and there's that's just a type of person. Yeah, and so that when you're like, I'm that type of person, and these are the same people, you easily make friends with those people. Yeah. I think it's a good thing. Like, it's
100%.
We've got diversity coming into the industry, which is nice. We got new owners coming in.
Yep.
You got different backgrounds coming in. We got more women in the industry right now.
Yeah.
The younger generation, like, this industry is in a really good spot, but you're getting amazing people, and so how do you see them succeed? And it's fun to be part of their journey.
Yeah.
Right. Having walked a mile in their shoes and then be part of the journey. Like, and you guys see the same thing. You're like, hey, I'm helping someone succeed. I think if you look at from whether you're a vendor or on the service side to serve restores, is every time that you help a restorer help 100 people, you're part of that journey. But if you it becomes overwhelming. I looked at it when you're at Encircle. Well, 50,000 people were in our program every day.
Yeah.
And they're helping thousands of customers every day.
Yeah.
We're part of that journey. And that's pretty cool. Like, if you step back and reflect a little bit and see how big the magnitude is, just to be able to work with some of these restorers and change that way that they interact with their customers, it's pretty powerful.
Gosh, you start doing the math on that. You're helping 50,000 people are using Encircle at any given time. Like, the amount of lives you can impact, like, you start doing that trickle down effect, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, when you're thinking of all the homes that are getting saved or restored or built back, like, it's amazing. Yeah. And it's a cool thing about this industry when you get to talk about it. And I hate to get on my soapbox too much, but it really is. It feels like the place to be, because you get to help so many awesome people.
But you get excited about it because you can feel it.
Yeah.
It's in you. And that's what, when you come to these conferences, you talk to people, it's in you.
Yeah.
So you got that energy, you feel that connection, and that's why, it's not, you might not feel it over the podcast, but you feel these, you can feel the connection.
Yeah.
And then there's just a camaraderie. And even if you have a competitor, there's still friendly camaraderie because we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's another unique thing that we could spend a whole podcast talking about, is like with people's competitors too. There's still like good connections, and it's not like we talk about it at we've talked about it in our company quite a bit about these different mindsets. You have a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
And the idea behind an abundance mindset is like, hey, we can all win. Like, you can win over there, even if you're my competitor, even if we're in the same town. Like, you can win and I can win at the same time. Yep. Like, there's enough work here. There's enough people to help here for all of us. It's like, we can all grow our businesses and make more money and take care of more employees. Like, there's an opportunity for all of us, which makes it really, really cool.
If you look at in the trade show hall,
Yeah.
Some of our competitors are still very good friends of mine.
Yeah.
Where you call them up and be like, hey, what do you see going on? And it's a transparent conversation. There's none of that trickery going on.
Yeah.
Let's just have a talk. And when they run into a wall or they need something, they call, hey, what do you see? I'm seeing this. Okay, I'm seeing it too. All right.
There we go.
I feel good, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And there isn't that animosity or that negative competitiveness. There's a competitiveness. We're gonna battle in the customer pool.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do it in the right way.
Chris, this has been awesome. This has been a great conversation. Seriously. I want to give you the opportunity, if people are curious about Encircle or maybe just want to learn more about you and maybe get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, if you guys throw up my last name because no one's going to...
we can throw up some links.
Yeah, throw up some links. Yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, I'm on there all the time.
Okay.
Mostly on LinkedIn.
Okay.
But then if you want to reach out, go to encircleapp.com and when you find our app, take a demo and it'll change your life. It's really good. Yeah, it'll change your business, and even if it's, take a look at it. If it's not right for you right now, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll get you at some point.
Yeah. If nothing else, at least, answer some questions. And
but it's no pressure. We go in, we demo it. You can take it for a trial spin and make a decision. This is pressure free.
Yeah.
If it's right for you, it's right for you. If it's not, it's not.
Chris, seriously, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to have you on again in the future. We've already kind of planned out some things we want to talk about maybe on future episodes, but seriously appreciate you coming on. It was great to have you in person because the next one most likely will be over Zoom or something.
Yeah.
But I love doing in-person podcasts. And again, seriously, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
This has been Success Elevated, making you a little bit better one show at a time. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe on YouTube or any other major podcast platform to listen to more episodes. We are proudly brought to you by Spot On Solutions. If you'd like to learn more about how we can help you grow your business, please check us out at spotonsolutions.com.